Welcome to the Breathe California show. My name is Lynn Smith. With me today is Margo Sidener, President and CEO of Breathe California, and we're going to talk about soy-based products. Let's take a moment to talk a little bit about Breathe California.
Nice thing about Better Breathers Club is we go in and there's other people sitting around with oxygen. It's almost a relief that everybody looks the same in the room. It's a funny thing to say, but it's a good feeling. Breathe California means having resources available to us that will help guide us and make our lives easier.
My name is Lynn Smith. Welcome back. With me is Margo Sidener, President and CEO of Breathe California. Today we're going to be talking about soy-based products. Why is there a concern with Breathe California on soy-based products, Margo?
Well, as a green business, we're naturally concerned about sustainability. And sustainability is what soy products is all about. When you use renewable resources like soybeans and reduce your use of non-renewable resources like petroleum, it's a good thing for the planet. So we're looking toward creating more sustainability and lots of other things that are connected with our mission. And there is actually a definition of sustainability from the United States Environmental Protection Agency that talks about making sure that when you're meeting the needs of our generation, that you're not impacting the future generation's ability to meet their own needs. And in particular, and I'm reading this, it's the goals of that, according to the US EPA, is increasing productivity to meet future food demands, decreasing impact on the environment, improving human health, and improving the social and economic well-being of communities. And professionals are predicting that by 2050, we will have added another 2.5 billion people to our planet, and that we're going to need like double the food resources just to feed 9 billion people. So sustainability, as we know, is really important.
So when we talk about soybeans, as it's used in fuel for transportation, how are we using soybeans for fuel and transportation and energy?
Well, simply put, any diesel motor that can run on diesel can also run on soybean oil. It can run on a mix of soybean oil or even 100%. So we have anything from B100, which is 100% soybean oil, to B5, which is only 5% soybean, and the rest petroleum products. So even if you are displacing part of it, you are doing a good thing for the planet. And if we're, the other thing is that it's a superior oil. And when there is a group that is all about soybeans called the United Soybean Board, and that board has released a report in 2010 that really documented research to prove that using soybean oil does reduce greenhouse gases, which we're very much concerned about, especially here in California, exposure to toxic chemicals, and also cutting our dependence on foreign oil.
But are soybeans a big market now? What are your thoughts on that?
Soybeans are, they grow about 70 million acres of soybeans, so it is a very big market. And one of the things that we're so concerned about, of course, with Breathe California is air pollution. And because diesel is our #1 toxic air contaminant, we need to do anything to replace diesel that we can. And anything we do will really have a big impact on health. In fact, there was a study in 2008 by Harvard University that showed us that those people who do long-haul trucking, the drivers, have lung cancer from 1.5 to 2 times the amount of others who are not exposed to diesel fuel.
So when we talk about these various industries, what kind of commercial and industrial products are we talking about?
We're talking about all kinds of products. Basically, if you could put petroleum in it, you could put soybean oil in it. And so for about 100 years, we've been putting soybean oil in things like paint and lubricants. But recently, there has been a lot more research that allows us to use it for a number of other things. Lubricants, coolants, paints and paint strippers, things that you're using, not just on houses, but out in all of the buildings and on equipment, hydraulic fluids, printing inks, adhesives, plastics, coatings, and building supplies. And if we look again, we have to look back at air pollution, because not only are you impacting air pollution when you have fuels that you're using for transportation, but also you impact air pollution with all of these other chemicals. When we're talking about chemicals and vapors they release and how that impacts your lungs, we have to look at a lot of petroleum-derived kinds of chemicals, like formaldehyde. That's a really big one. That's a toxic contaminant too. And also, we have to look at things like benzene and a number of all the E&E ending chemicals that come from that. So air pollution has a lot of health costs. We know that it probably cost the state of California about $28 million annually. Actually, that's B with a billion, with a B. Just annually, and maybe result in as many as 3,800 deaths.
So going back to your talking about products and consumer products made from soy, just talk about that just for a moment more. About are people interested in this? I mean, your feelings about that?
Well, we hope people are interested.
No, but no, yeah.
I have brought you sort of a show and tell today. I have all kinds of things here. I'm going to get them out. And basically, you can have, again, anything that you would use soy with, you can, or petroleum with, you can use soy. So I want first to show you because we were talking about building products.
Right.
I want to show you these really cool, these are slices, if I can get them out. These are slices of wood.
Oh my.
That are used for cabinets. You can see that it's the side here. You can see it's layered. It's lots of layers.
It's amazing.
These are used for all kinds of kitchen cabinets and furniture. And the wonderful thing about this, and they're just beautiful, as you can see, they're really nice. I would like to have some of these cabinets.
I'm sure that's on your agenda in the near future. Right?
And what's really cool is there's no formaldehyde.
Oh my, they're beautiful.
So the formaldehyde is a big problem. I don't know if you remember back in college biology, but the formaldehyde you could barely stand to be in doing the dissecting those frogs and whatever.
Frogs.
But that's because it is a very serious lung hazard. And so we have to think about the people who are making these products, people who are building cabinets, people who are fitting out. One of the big things is the manufactured homes. They're all outfitted with all kinds of built-ins. And in the past, there have been serious worker health issues for the people that are putting all this together. So I read an article about a plant that switched to this adhesive that's in these products. And instead of putting the layers together with an adhesive that has formaldehyde, they're doing it with a different soy-based one. And it was wonderful, the improvements in health that went on just in that factory. So as we're looking, that's one of the things. And then we also, you were asking about consumer products. We have
like cleaning house.
A lot of these things. We have, here's Grime Off, which is a heavy duty cleaning solution. So, and then there's also Carpet Green, which is made by the same company. And it's called New Tech is the company. And so these, and I have used these. I personally got some at a fair that I went to with Clean Cities, and I was pleased to find that these really work. These can clean just, the worst grime, and the carpet works beautifully without having all of that, getting dirty too soon. And then there's toilet bowl cleaner that works.
Wow.
There's a little spray all-purpose cleaner like you would use in your spray bottles at home that you use all those other cleaners. And then one of the things is this little lubricant is meant to take the place of something such as a WD-40. So we have little sample sizes. Obviously, these are not the real size. The
Right.
real size is large. But we have been giving these out. If people see us at a health fair, they might be able to pick these up and try them at home and then be able to use them. But this is also, which I wish I had samples of, cosmetics,
Oh, gosh.
candles, crayons, shampoo, hairspray, conditioner, all of those kinds of things. And we have information. The United Soybean Board puts together this really nice piece of information. And in here, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of products. And you can also find these online. Like this is just, a line of the cosmetic products that they have. There's also, here are some of the cleaners. There's degreasers. This one's adhesive and mastic remover, which is a big problem. Hand sanitizer. There are hundreds of products in here, and you can also find this. The Soybean Board also has put out a different kind of website that lists all these, and it's www.soynewuses.org.
Wow, that is amazing, Margo. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about all of this in a moment.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have asthma, and so asthma, I can't do that many sports because I wheeze and then I have to take my inhaler. I can't do a lot of things other kids can do. What I learned at asthma camp is how to treat your asthma and don't hold back if you have asthma. Breathe California has made it easier for me to play sports and do other things that I couldn't do before.
With me today is Margo Sidener, President and CEO of Breathe California. My name is Lynn Smith, and I am your host today for the Breathe California show. We are discussing soy-based products in the environment, and Margo has just told us so many things about soy-based products. It almost makes me want to go home right now and get some new makeup and do my floor over in my home. Listen, Margo, one thing that does concern me is, does using soybeans for fuel hurt its production for food or for animals or for humans? I mean, how does that affect our environment in that regard?
I have had people ask this because, of course, there's also, when people talk about growing corn for fuel and
Right.
on, people are very concerned about these things. And thankfully, the soybean is not even the whole soybean is used for the fuel. So that's the good news. You don't have to take the whole product. And actually, if you look at the soybean itself, when it's ground and used for oil and so on, about 80% is still used for a protein meal, they call it, which is a foodstuff for livestock. So right away, 80% is going to feed livestock, and then out of the 20% that is from soy oil, which again we've shown has all those uses for things like coolants and lubricants and cosmetics and cleaners and glues and paints and so on. You take another out of that 20%, most of that goes to those, and for the fuel, it's really only 4% of the total soybean. So you can produce a lot of fuel and still have all of those other wonderful uses for soybean that are cutting down on our use of petroleum in this country. And as we were just saying, for those people who just joined us, fuel is our main concern,
Right.
because we need to cut the use of diesel in this country because it's such a toxic air contaminant, and we need to cut the use of diesel because it also has a lot of other byproducts that are hazards to your lungs. So, so we can do that and still have all those wonderful things.
So when we talk about all the kind of things that have changed regarding soy, they have become more efficient, but in what ways has soy become more efficient? And let's talk primarily about utilizing them as another alternative to fuel.
Well, when we talk about being efficient, you
Yes.
have to look at how they're grown.
Right.
And, the agriculture industry here in the United States has a wonderful track record of just becoming more and more and more and more efficient. I think of actually when my dad bought the farm that my brother and I farmed to go to college, that was our source of income. We actually cleared that. This was land that had not been used, and we had to go out there and actually trench up all of those rocks that were in there and prepare the soil and all of this. And I mean, if you look back at the pioneers, then when you raise something on there, you're not getting your best bang for the buck. So now, this is big business, and they have a wonderful history of just getting more and more and more efficient. And the soy board and all the people that are growing soybeans and are so interested in our future, and again in sustainability, have certain, I'm going to read it just so I don't forget one.
Okay.
They have a focus on efficiency in 5 different areas. One is energy use. And they really spend a lot of time reducing the amount of energy it takes to get the oil out of the soybean would be one thing. To separate out the meal and use that for for the feedstock.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at how the energy use compares to, for instance, diesel,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that that is as good as getting toward super efficiency with that. So they're looking, and also you can use this for heating oil. So it's not just for the fuel
Right.
consumption oil, but also for heating oil. Back where oil, when I lived in Schenectady,
right,
New York,
yeah.
that's how we heated our home.
Right.
We had the oil that then ran a steam heat, which was really nice heat. But anyway, as we look at that, that's one, is the energy. And then secondly, we have to look at soil loss. And that would bring in a lot of different functions. I'm sure you've heard of crop rotation and some of those things that build the soil and keep the soil good, because we're losing good soil here at a rapid rate. If you look at the city of San Jose that we live in and what it looked like when you and I, first moved here, that it's very different. Now there's a lot of concrete over that soil.
Right.
So we're losing, across the country the same thing is happening. They're building housing, they're building shopping centers, and we're losing a lot of this usable soil. So they're looking at soil loss. The third thing is irrigation and water use. So they've really gotten this down to a science in how much water they have to use to grow soybeans. It's not, in the areas where they grow soybeans, sometimes they use irrigation, for instance, and so they have ways that minimize the water loss when they're irrigating, and so it's a big focus is for water use. And then finally there's climate impact and land use. So as I was saying before, the use of soy oil really reduces greenhouse gases, and so that has less impact on our climate.
Yeah. One thing I know is that the Silicon Valley Clean Cities Coalition promotes the use of biofuels.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about Clean Cities?
Sure.
I think a lot of people like to know about them too.
Yes, Clean Cities is, that's how we became involved in looking at soybeans.
Yes.
But, soybeans are important for fuel. And Clean Cities coalitions were organized by the Department of Energy across the country. About 15 years ago they started. And it was to enable us to reduce our use of foreign petroleum and to develop other alternative fuels. That's really the focus of the Clean Cities Coalition. It's not just fuels, it's looking at ways to reduce through, for instance, cutting your idling, inflating your tires. We're trying to cut petroleum use in the country. So that's what the Clean Cities is all about. And as you know, here in Silicon Valley, Clean Cities Coalition is coordinated by Breathe California.
Yes, I know.
So that's how we got involved in this. And there are about 100 Clean Cities Coalitions across the country. And we also are trying to look at having people get out of their regular gasoline type cars and start using a lot of other alternative fuels. And Clean Cities is fuel neutral. Someone at a recent meeting I was at coined the term polyfuel. We're looking at not gasoline, but polyfuels. We're looking at trying to use electric vehicles, and the Clean Cities here and in the Bay Area is involved in trying to see, where do we need those chargers placed, and how can we make sure that people are getting it in terms of trying to switch over to electric vehicles. Hybrids, CNG, many vehicles are CNG, compressed natural gas.
Right.
And while it has traditionally been thought of more to fuel things like the big heavy duty and garbage trucks and those kinds of things, it also is available for light duty. And the Honda Civic is available in a natural gas vehicle, for instance. And there are the biofuels I talked about. Ethanol, we have an ethanol station here, which also saves on petroleum.
So how do we get more information about these products or Clean Cities or Breathe California? I think the audience probably wants to know, where can we get this information on products and Breathe and Clean Cities?
By calling and going online.
So do you want to tell us?
So you can call Breathe California to get any of this information. We have real life people who answer, like you, Lynn.
That's correct.
And all of us there. So it's 408-998-5865. Or if you live in parts of our area that are not 408, you can simply dial 1-877-3-BREATHE, and that'll get you some help. And if you want to go online, of course, there's www.lungsrus.org, which is LUNGSRUS.org. Or if you want the information about the soy products, and also about the use of soybeans in general and how they lead to sustainability for our country, you can go on www.unitedsoybeans, or soybean with not plural, .org. So that's www.unitedsoybean.org, which is probably the best source for all that information. Or if you want that great catalog so that you can go home and buy that stuff for your shampoo and conditioner, all those things we talked about, you can go to www.soynewuses.org. Soynewuses.org. And they have not only information about consumer products, like buying candles that don't have petroleum products, for instance, but they also have a lot more information about the commercial and industrial uses. So if you have a business, let's say that you're using coolants or lubricants, or your business does painting, then it's very important for you to go on and look at where you could get better products that are sustainable, that are good for our country. and that can be found there on that website, along with where to find it. You know, the contact information for those companies. It's not so much an order form as it is a place of information.
Well, Margo, I want to thank you for being with us today. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I hope all of you will contact Margo at Breathe California. Again, the number is 408-998-5865, and the Breathe California website here locally is www.lungsrus.org. Thank you, Margo.
Thanks so much.